It's the 4th of July. You know how I celebrated today? I woke up and realized I had gone to sleep at like 3 because I wrote until 1:30 last night, and then my brain's really awake. So I woke up and it was like 8:27. That's bad because I was supposed to be at the store at the Domino's at 8:30. Because the 4th of July is not a day off for a lot of people, and I'm one of those people. So yeah, I worked about 9.5 hours, made a bunch of pizzas, and mourned the death of our republic, while also, kind of LOLing at Greg Berhalter, completely face planting after, like bowling through all of the accusations of nepotism and favoritism because his brother used to be the CEO of US Soccer. And so his brother steps away and he gets another shot and immediately face plants. While the players all say they love him, like, it's clear that the problem is this group doesn't know how to win, right? None of these players know how to win. None of them are winners on the club level. So it's not a team that America is going to embrace because, we are the country that formulated the idea that if you aren't in first place, the view never changes, right?
Shout out Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights.
United States, we're those assholes. So there's zero chance that they're going to get any traction or whatever, and frankly it's hilarious to watch all of MLS's plans for like global dominance come apart because the children of wealthy people who have managed to make it to the national team don't know how to suffer during a match, don't know how to make a difference when they're not at their best, the kind of things you learn when you're forced to struggle. And that's what I think is wrong with the USA, is that our players are mentally midgets, in terms of dynamism and ability to find solutions for themselves. And it's all the things that we say about pay-to-play soccer, right? It's all the things we say about it. Like, the kids don't learn how to solve problems. They don't learn how the game is really played. They don't. So, as long as they can stay within the rhythms and the patterns they've been given, they just need and execute those extremely well. But, at the top level, or really even kind of near the top level, any team can take apart the thing that you always do. I wasn't surprised to see the U.S. struggle. I was saddened by it. I'm not one of those people who, whose nipples come erect when the U.S. gives up a goal. I am an old person who grew up in the Midwest, so I retain a patina patriotism. And the only place it expresses itself anymore is when watching athletes with the flag on, do stuff. So I'll watch the Olympics, and hope that not all the players are involved in like weird abusive subcultures within their particular sport. And I watch I watch all of the national team games for both the men and women, and really want emotionally I'm more into the women. Like, I'm upset when the women lose. When the men lose, I'm usually like, that's what I figured. And it's complicated right now, isn't it? I at some level it's always been complicated. We are a colonizer nation who has made our uniqueness on the back of most of the global South. And so, those feelings do creep into the conversation when I'm thinking about the USA.
It's always funny though, Sean, because much of the discourse is around Berhalter, and it seems like, it seems like national team supporters are convinced that that it seems like firing Berhalter is going to solve all their problems, and the pay to play thing too. It's so crazy to think about too when you look at soccer as a game as compared to other sports in this country and around the world. Soccer's so easy. It's so easy. It's not easy from a playing standpoint. It takes
a low
skill.
barrier to entry.
Exactly. Like it's not like hockey where it could cost you thousands of dollars to play.
Right.
Like you need to be legitimately, for the most part, coming from a well-off family. It seems like to play hockey, to buy all the padding and everything like that. In other sports too. You need like equipment to play. Like football, you need pads. You need like full-on pads, helmet, shoulder pads. Baseball, gloves, bats.
Baseball is pretty cheap, but not.
Baseball's pretty cheap, and so is
but not like soccer. Soccer, you literally, you can play a credible game by making a ball out of tape, and everybody go out barefoot and throw down two things, and that's the goal. Like you don't need anything. To play football.
Nope, you just need an open field, and like you said, something that will, serve as a ball, and you're ready to go.
Right. Well, I think that it's entirely possible that in the USA it will be borderline illegal to occupy an open space that you haven't paid for in the very near future. Children playing outside is already fairly criminalized in this country, especially if you're if you're in a poorer neighborhood and your skin isn't has some melanin. It's already kind of criminalized playing outside. So yeah, I'm sorry. I have to confess that I am in a fairly dark place about the state of being an American. So that's bleeding into what I'm having to say about these things. Now, I'm not saying that that's not all of this is still true. It's just maybe wouldn't be like in the very front of my mind, so that I just have to spit it out like, that's how I feel right now. Is like, and I apologize if it's coming across poorly.
Going to the Berhalter thing, and my thought on that is, I remember the time when Berhalter wasn't managing after the 2022 World Cup, and I was seeing the U.S. team's run of forms. I think it was concluded when they won Nations League either last spring or summer, and that was, I think, some of the better football that they were playing in a while. They were getting the most out of the players that they had. But then they decided to go back to their coaching thing, and it's like, hey, let's go back to this for whatever reason. And hence where we are now.
You're talking about under, what's his name, the interim guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was...
I was enjoying it.
Okay, so here's my guess. I have no idea if any of this is true. I don't cover the U.S. in any way, so I don't have contacts there. I don't have any insight into anything. This is just me as a dude who reads media guessing why it's this way. And it's because the players have Greg by the balls. The Gio Reyna thing was not an isolated incident. It is an example of how permeable Greg Berhalter is to parental intervention and parental bullshit. And like, let's just pause and think about how fucking crazy this is. Like, you would be furious if this was happening on your kid's under 16 team. This is the United States national team.
Yep.
And the coach is still having to deal with like, and he has a reason that he has to, Greg Berhalter in this situation. Of course, he knows Claudio, and Claudio was the best player of his generation, right? And so there's that kind of sets a weird dynamic between them, where Greg is like a try-hard dude, and Claudio's like the Cadillac guy who played for Man City, right? So, you got that weirdness in there. And then Greg becomes the national team coach, and Claudio is still involved in U.S. soccer and still has power behind the scenes and still, has people who listen to him mostly because he's Claudio Reyna. And he's very carefully not done a whole lot in football where he had responsibilities that could blow back on him. He's a guy who's remained around football, but very seldom done anything where you could judge whether he knows what the fuck he's doing, right? So my guess is that when Greg gets there, there's a kind of a subtle thing where the players know that he's a little bit emasculated, and Greg, like, is a guy who he's very empathetic, and I think he feels it in the room, and he's constantly trying to kind of prove himself to his players in an odd way.
Right.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Where the assistant, I can't remember his name. I'm completely blanking. But he was not involved in all of that, and really has nothing to lose by ripping and tearing and making things, like, just kind of putting players in positions that he thinks is going to work and not giving a shit who thinks it's, who's applauding, right?
Right.
He's just like, okay, well, I'm just trying to win. And I think, that matters. Also, I think that Greg overcomplicates things and tries to manage like a club manager far too often. Like, managing international football, I think, who would be great at it is Dave Dwahey.
Yeah.
Like, you need someone who's going to, like, get everybody together and get the vibe right. And as a national team manager, you've got people doing the analytics. You got nerds doing the nerd shit, right? You need somebody who can get in there and make everybody feel like they're 10 feet tall and made of titanium and about to just go show people how fucking great they are.
Yeah.
And, instead what we got is this kind of like nervous, like, it's like, fussy, here's how we're going to maintain possession, like, where, really all of these players know how to play, and you just need to get them geeked up and afraid of humiliation and get out there and, like, it's death or glory. Go make your choice. Aha,
Which actually the latter is, if you think about it, when people think of the stereotypical America or the America, fuck yeah, that's the kind of, like, you would want that not give a fuck energy on the field, rampant, direct, because, and honestly, that's probably what people think of, not this pessimistic, weak shit.
Well, we've gone, like, it has to do with the kind of the psychology of our soccer selves as a nation, right? That we don't just want to go out there and, like, be competitive. We want to go out there and show that, like, we can be competitive in the very complex and difficult to access ways that the best teams do.
Right.
And we just don't need that. And really aren't at that level, like, what we're proving is we're not at that level. We really should simplify it a bit and probably should play, physical direct football.
Mm-hmm. North South, baby.
Yeah, it's the thing is, there's no right way to play football.
Right.
And I really feel like we kind of got onto the wrong track a little bit during the tiki-taka era. Where the entire world was like, we're all going to play. Everyone is going to make like 2-yard shuffle passes forever, and that's going to be amazing. Like, we really got lost in that and tried, and then went looking internationally for what our style was going to be, and told the entire country that everyone's going to play 4-3-3. I mean, that's still out there. Like, we have a national plan document that's like, here's how we intend to play, which is, it's like saying, here's what we intend our language to be like in 150 years. Bro, language change happens organically, and it will happen, but you sure can't control and you sure can't predict where it's going to go. And like, we just get tangled up in these no hope, boondoggles that are making, canny grifters within the space a lot of money, but aren't doing anything to make soccer more available to more kids, and to make higher level soccer available to a higher percentage of those kids without great cost, because that's what's going to drive us being great at this game. I mean, really, the U.S. should be a world power in soccer. Should be. It's a matter of, it's sort of population times wealth times culture, and the culture has always been our big thing. We're always like adding up like a 0.1 on there as our multiplier, right? But the culture's getting there, and so really we should see the number of world-class players, loosely defined, that we're producing steadily increasing, and it is not. And I believe that you can within that see the margins of the pipeline and the ways that pay to play is not allowing the mass of the talent to get to where they get good enough coaching they can actually be evaluated, because that's where it really happens. Like 12 years old or so is where you can really start sorting kids a little bit, but they need 5 or 6 years of basics before that sorting can really be any good, before they have enough technical idea that you can actually judge them. And we just don't. Like, a lot of times at 12 is when they're kind of starting.
Yeah. I think the one thing I'll note to get into it, because I think some of the things you were saying you were feeling ties into the start of kind of the City Week that was. The result, the loss to Uruguay on Monday, I think I said it in our circles, I was actually surprised we weren't getting absolutely pumped by Uruguay's Bielsa ball. The fact that it was 1-0 is kind of, I thought we were going to be a lot worse.
I mean, I felt like we played pretty well. That's the thing is, that's what I'm saying about Greg, is that he doesn't have any ability to motivate these players.
Right.
Outside of the intrinsic motivation the match presents. And so playing Uruguay with Bielsa, that's a big deal to the players. Like, they know what they're in for. And they showed up for it. I mean, the fact is that we played through that press pretty effectively for a lot of the match. And it was a pretty even match. I think the goal was offside, if I'm being honest, but like, the problem is that we lost to Panama, and it's just not good enough. Like,
Panama did what they were supposed to
host
do
to ever crash out of Copa America. I mean, this is not, Copa America is not as hard as the Euros. Okay, it's just not. There's 4 or 5 good teams, and there's a few in the middle. And then there's some real, like Bolivia, just bad, right? And yeah, I mean, this is if he isn't fired, then we really have come to a zero accountability moment within U.S. soccer. This is simply not good enough, and there can't be No, you can't say, well, it's only, we need to spend more time. What the fuck are you talking about? We host the World Cup in 2 years.
Yep.
Host the World Cup in 2 years, which means we don't have any competitive matches really for the next 2 years. So if you've got a guy who can't motivate us for the Copa America, and we're going to drift through 2 years with this, Trump style, just fiddly fucking with we're going to lay back or press or what, talking about the very granular specifics of how they're going to play out when the players look like they, did 12 bong rips and spent yesterday sleeping on the beach. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And the fact that he has consistently come up against these motivational problems, it just shows he's just not up for it. This isn't him. And you know, he's an empathetic dude. He's you know, he's a guy who tries to lead by example in the public spaces and doesn't make an ass of himself. And he really should just go be a club manager somewhere and really dig in and continue to learn his craft. And when he's 70, maybe he, after he's won a couple, you know, trophies somewhere else, and you know, learned how to be hard when it needs to happen, and how to not respond to Claudio Reyna when he emails you, then he can get another shot at this. But really, you know, he just needs to go and stay gone.
So, if you think this is interesting now, imagine if USSF doesn't make the decisions that need to be made, and we wind up talking about this similar sauce for World Cup 26, except it'd be even worse when there's a chance the U.S., if they don't repeat what in the World Cup what they did in the Copa America, they'd be the third host nation to not make it out of the group stage of the World Cup after South Africa in 2010 and Qatar in this past World Cup.
Right.
So,
I will say that I think it's pretty unlikely that we crash out of the World Cup. I don't think we're going to get grouped at the World Cup. I don't think that's going to happen. What I do think is that it's entirely possible U.S. soccer just stays the course, right? They don't give a shit. And if we've learned anything the last week or so, it's that when you give people completely unaccountable power, at some point they're going to realize that what extent they're unaccountable, and they just don't give a shit. And you know, we see that, we're talking about the Supreme Court, obviously, and U.S. soccer similarly, just behaving with impunity, obviously wrong in many ways in public, and just kind of rolling with it. So I think it's entirely possible that you know, we declare Greg immune to criticism for being a shitty national team manager.
Yeah, and that while we're also complaining about the U.S. men's national team, we also want to pour one out in solidarity to our Peruvian hermano over at Channel 451. The Peruvian national team drawing only their first game and losing, and as a result of losing to Canada, they finished bottom in their group, and Canada is the only North American side to get through to the knockout stage of the Copa America, because Mexico.
Canada's there is going to be one red and white team in here, but it ain't you, Peru.
This is what happened. This is the trade. Canada does not get a Stanley Cup winner, but instead they become the one soccer team, the national team to make it to the knockout stage of the Copa America.
I mean, they got a puncher's chance. This Canada team, they got a chance, you know, to do some stuff. I think they're going to lose in the semis, but, you know, they look pretty decent. And I mean, you know, they clearly have a talent. So I don't want to get lost in talking about Canada, but
Hey.
I mean, who can blame Canada?
I don't know, but I mean, I think Canada was this past Monday. I thank him continuously for Tim Hortons, for hockey, and for Shoresy, and maybe some other things. But that's to talk for another time. So now we're going to channel some of this fire, some of this energy we've brought up, some of this pent-up thing, which is kind of what we were feeling going back in the Detroit City matches how we were feeling at the end of Wednesday. So to recap everything, to then get thoughts on it, last Wednesday, the men had a CBS Sports Network televised matchup at Keyworth Stadium versus Birmingham Legion, a matchup that looked packed where we were at, but was surprisingly only 6,200. I blame that media trailer next to me that distort my views and all that stuff. A great first half in that matchup. Reese Williams gets his first club goal via Ben Morris assist, but we looked flat in the second half. A couple of things that we didn't realize until, or were told about until post-match. So Elvisamo and Reese Williams get subbed off early in the second half. Reese having, in fact, failed his fitness test for the Pumas friendly that was 4 days prior. So he didn't even play in that friendly. And Birmingham Legion took over that second half versus City side that apparently had 5 or 6 people down with illness, including the gaffer himself. I think, Sean, you've alluded to it before in prior episodes, but once again, our ability to defend the corners in the near post came back to bit us in the ass. Goals in the 83rd and the 88th by Legion. Not only give them a come-from-behind win at Keyworth, but they also gives Legion first ever win against Detroit City, period. Which I'm not going to lie, I think both of you knew. I think I mentioned this in our circles, because I have 2 worlds in me these days. I have the current supporter journalist in me, and then I have the old school pissed off supporter when these type of things happen. And I was definitely feeling the pissed off supporter thing with how Wednesday ended. But the next day was a bit better because our women traveled to Kentwood to take on Midwest United, knowing that a draw was enough to clinch the playoffs and the Great Lakes Division. They did better than that. Tatiana Mason in the 8th minute, goal for Les Rouges, the deciding goal in the match. Detroit City's first ever win against Midwest on the road. First time they ever did the double. Queens of the Great Lakes in their next clinching the division with 1 game to spare. They finished their regular season out on Sunday. The day before that, the men made up for their setback on Wednesday, traveling to the bottom of the East Miami in a very empty ass stadium. Normally empty, didn't account for the fact that Argentina-Peru was happening less than 30 miles away from them. However, those in Rouge and Gold support that showed up, not only showed up, they showed out. Well done to all of you. You were loud in the local broadcast. And City, in years past, when they played bottom teams, often played down. Finally got to see, although what started off sluggish, they got into their rhythm, a side that had 6 changes in the starting lineup. Once again, Ben Morris to Reese Williams, 1-0 at the half. Michael Bryant back in the squad, back in the starting lineup after not making the squad completely on Wednesday, takes advantage of a beautiful Ryan Williams set piece 5 minutes into the second half, header in the goal. He does the celebration like he's going to sleep. It puts the match to sleep because then City decided to really put the foot on the gas and put most of their starters they were resting in, including Maxi Rodriguez, who gets a brace, including 1 in stoppage time off a great little move by Elvisamo, who came on later in the match. 4-0 win for the men at Miami. Great response to what happened Wednesday. The women the next day finished the regular season in style at Ann Arbor Pioneer High School. Adam and I got to experience cool on site. Maybe our easiest entrance ever into a stadium, which, to be honest with you, this is our first year trying to like really go in there. So we reach out to the club or for Ann Arbor. It's like, hey, we do all this. What do we have to do? They didn't get back to us. So I was like, okay, well, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
So
what you need to do is have a clipboard with a legal pad on it.
Oh,
and you walk through the gate holding the clipboard, and you just kind of hold the clipboard up like,
Not even that. So we're walking in. Adam and I are walking in with our friend, with Wes and Lindsay. Shout out to those two. And there's this guy goes, "You guys got tickets?" And we just grab our media creds we brought. And they're like, "You're good." They don't even say anything. They just wave.
I made sure I had my camera out though, so that served as my notepad, Sean.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Like another good thing. This is something that, like, back when I was, when I was in the business, and like you'd get a lot of those hard cards, if you got like 2 or 3 of those things on, nobody stops you. Like they could be from like it's the Milli Vanilli tour, and Yeah, a local gymnastics exhibition, and you can go like cover the bulls. It's fine. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we get in. We don't even have to. We're like, that's just easy down on the field, and we see maybe one of the strongest City women's side starting 11s in a while. A match that fair play to Ann Arbor, who dug down and dug deep. But City finds their way. A goal in the first half by Acadia Murphy, and then Lily Jekyll gets the second, and then feeds Kayla Addison for the third. 3-0 for the Queens of the Great Lakes Division. Apparently, all of our supporters mellowed that out by the amount of Burger King crowns that were bought, like it was old match versus Erie in old NPSL days. And celebrations.
2013 callback. The last undefeated team.
10 wins, 2 draws. And now, not only that, we had found out Thursday in our pissed off state that we're hosting the Central Conference playoffs for USLW League, whether we were going to make the playoffs or not, according to USL. And that starts tomorrow night. 2 matchups, 2 semifinal matchups. The 2 teams from the Heartland Division, Minnesota Aurora, who, like City, is 10 wins and 2 draws, but has an insane goal difference. They are not going to be playing the same, even though Riverlight is the second place team in the conference in the 4th seed. By USLW League, they do not want teams from the same division playing each other in conference semifinals. So we're getting Riverlight in the night game at 7 p.m., but the 4 o'clock game sees a Minnesota Aurora team who's never lost in any of their regular seasons versus an Indy 11 side who's won the first 2 W League playoffs. That's at 4 o'clock. 7 o'clock, Detroit City takes on a Riverlight team who's 8 wins, 3 losses, 1 tie, 49 goals scored to 11 allowed. That is at 7 p.m. The men then play the next night, hosting a Tampa Bay Rowdies side that struggled mightily and lost 2-0 at Loudon on Saturday. Which I think the
editor of me is struggling right now.
The chatting with the RBLR Rowdies crew on their cast on Tuesday. I think there's some concern on their end about what side they're going to see on Saturday at Keyworth. Also, it is the debut of the Black Alternate Kids, so dress appropriately, people. And then if Detroit City's women win their semifinal on Friday, the final, Sunday, 1 p.m., the 7th. On the 7th anniversary of 451 happening, the 5th anniversary of Sean-Claude Lawson's hat trick in Ann Arbor to clinch a division title, may see also history continue to be made for Detroit City. So, with that recap of the week that was, Sean, why don't we break it down? How are you feeling post everything?
So the editor in me wants to spit that back at you like this. Weekend of football. Friday night, Detroit City's women play in the regional semifinals against a team from suburban Chicago. Saturday night, the men play against Tampa Bay Rowdies, one of the OG sides back from the NASL all the way up to today. They are a legitimate old school American football team, and they are coming to our place Saturday night. And then Sunday, if the women win, which we all believe in our hearts they're going to, then they will play for the regional title against either the defending national champions, the Indy 11, or Minnesota Aurora, a team founded on a community ethos with lots of community investment. See if it sounds familiar. Who has, in their 3 years of existence in the USLW, never lost a regular season match. Never. Yep. So what we've got is high level football, and especially for the women. Like if you've got the ability to come on Friday evening, that should be an amazing contest, and you're going to see some women play who you're going to see playing, for money over the next few years. Now, okay, so we've talked about Lily Jekyll before. She is going to be here this weekend. She is the kind of talent where a team like Detroit City that recruits like Big Ten starters will put aside those Big Ten starters and put this 15-year-old from Lake Orion in because she's that fucking good. Okay.
confirm.
She's 15. She's the fastest 15-year-old girl in the universe, I think, possibly. I don't know. I could be wrong. But she's incredibly quick. And then on top of that, she has a great footballing brain. She sees chances. She doesn't dribble herself into blind alleys and do all the things that you really expect to see 17, 18-year-olds doing. She has played at a very high level, at like a national level, for most of her youth league career. So she's gotten incredible coaching, and she's played against difficult players. And what you're seeing is a 15-year-old who's going to play in WSL, going to play for, somebody in Europe. Like she might wear the USA kit someday. Like, so that's not something you're going to be able to see every day. In the attacking midfield, you got somebody like Sophia Romine, who starts for University of Minnesota and combines a hunger for the ball and with a willingness to take guys on that reminds me a lot of as I went to say her name, I forgot her name. She does a podcast with Kristen Press.
Tobin Heath.
Tobin Heath. She reminds me a little bit of Tobin Heath.
Great use.
She really likes to, like, you'll see her get the ball and like a double team will form up that has her kind of pinned against the sideline, right? And she's seeing touches there, and you can see her like, okay, I think I still like my chances, and that's so exciting to see when you see players that in the attacking spaces that are willing and able to make those kind of chances like pay off. And then further back, you've got in the City team, we're going to have the full Death Star defensively. We're going to have Avery Peters, and we're going to have Maya Solis. We're going to have Katie Murphy, and Gabby
as well.
Schreiber, Ella Ofer. As I understood, Dave Dwahey, the manager, told me that Tatiana Mason was not going to be here this weekend because she's been offered a trial with DC Power to try to win a full-time gig, in the Super League team. However, on today's training video, Ms. Mason was in the last bit of it.
Let's go.
She was here. I don't know if maybe DC has said, why don't you stay the weekend or what? I don't know, maybe. But if so, that would be tremendous. There's so many great players. I just wrote a thing last night where basically I was kind of doing a writerly version of guys naming players, the classic, like, guys will just sit around and be happy naming players, and I was kind of just doing guys naming players like as a column, and so many great players, great in different ways. The variety of the games that are on display will be tremendous. Riverlight is not bad, they're a West Chicago side. They're like from Schaumburg area, and we've seen Chicago teams in Keyworth before back in the
Chicago Mustangs, 21
U.S. days. And man, that Chicago team that came in, like, that was the best performance I've seen by a women's side in Keyworth. That Chicago team, like, they just.
And we weren't that bad that night either. They were just that good.
We were thinking, okay, we got a chance, and then Chicago came in and just like backhanded us. The midfield was so incredible, and they were all like 17 years old. And yeah, it was really an eye opener. Like, okay, there's a lot of talent out there. Now that was a team that was very much our side that in that scenario was much less talented than the team that we're putting out there now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I also think with Indy 11, I was going to say, I saw Indy 11, and then I went to the 2 Indy games the next year in 22. And that first Indy game, July 1, 22, that was at my most talented side that I've seen a women's team play against, because we were off that year, I would admit, but they were good. Holy shit.
Well, I feel like, Dave and his staff have figured out the thing that the other, national level teams in USLW have figured out, which is like you need piles and piles of talent. Like you need so much talent to get through these seasons, because it's a short season. It's very intense. And you really, a 12-game season, you can't lose 2 matches and expect to be involved in the playoffs. So it's very intense. You have to hit the ground running, and you can't have that many off days. You can't have days, despite the fact that the entire setup of the league indicates that players are going to be unavailable routinely for you, and that's just something that's understood. So this is a very different kind of scenario than something you play in Football Manager, right?
That's something.
Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, that's something I mentioned last night too, Sean, is that one of the more impressive things about what we're able to do this year with the women's side is go undefeated, and that's impressive in and of itself. But when you add on to the fact that these aren't professional players, these are amateurs, and with being an amateur side, they have, and you've mentioned it before in other shows, that they have lives outside of all of this. Avery Peters was just in South Africa. Lily Jekyll is playing for the Nationals. They're doing other things, and for Dave Dwahey and Denny Evans to go in there and kind of get this squad, a very rotated squad, it seemed some weeks, to go out there and continue to win games and look cohesive. And even Lily Jekyll coming back, and it seemed like she was a little it took some time for her to kind of get back into the rhythm of playing with the rest of the squad. But when she did find her footing, when she did find that groove, it was money from there. And just being, all of that grouped together is just even more impressive for what they're able to do this year.
Especially when you account for the fact that all of these, we're the biggest squad we've had as far as a women's rotation this year. We have played the same shape, match in, match out, that boxy 4-4-2. And Dave, in our interview Sunday, was giving credit to Danny Evans for coming up with the shape, which I think ties back to maybe that PASL side paving the way for the success we're seeing now. But Sean, how do you think it's maybe that might be the most impressive thing, is that all these people coming in and coming out, the team keeps the shape and the results stay the same also?
Well, I think that, if Danny did that, then that is such a promising sign for her in terms of being the manager in waiting on that sideline, because essentially what you have to do is kind of survey all the talent you got and figure out a shape that is likely to always have 14 or 15 women who will feel good in these positions, right? No matter who's available or not. And the other thing is that they chose a very flexible shape. This is not a team. I called it Brazilian early on because that 4-2-2-2, it often is thought of as a Brazilian formation, where you basically have the back 6 are doing certain roles, and then the front 4 are like vibes, baby, just make shit, do stuff,
Yep.
And that has absolutely worked for City. I think the defining it as that kind of narrow 4-2-2-2 means that the players drift back to those central spaces when there's not an obvious opportunity to get on the ball and do stuff, which means that we've had good stability through the middle. We haven't gotten countered right through the middle much. And but explicitly giving the attacking midfielders and the strikers like their head. Just go do what you want, like do what seems like it's going to make things happen, and while demanding that they keep their head up and cross with a purpose, and all of the essentials of attacking play without the very particular specifics that a lot of times get in the way in actual play.
Yeah. I think because of that boxy shape, they're able to keep the box structurally in the mindset, but their attack and their approach, they're able to think also outside of that box.
Right.
And
right. There's two boxes in the 4-2-2-2. The defensive box is there and is important for stability. The front box is more notional than real, but they do like I say, I think that picture, like what happens is you go to stop and play and everybody has to drift back to their position, right? And you'll see people that are on the wing for City moving toward the middle or favoring the strong side if it's a throw in on that side, but really, pinch toward the middle. And that's just because you've got a notion that that's your position. It's not really, there's nothing pushing you that way, but that's usually, it's in those moments of pause where you can see what formation the manager has asked the players to play, because they'll kind of arrange themselves like they've been instructed, just notionally. It does help, because what it means is that there's like, instead of like trying to do something weird on the weak side, where it's almost impossible to get you the ball, people are the tendency is to drift toward the middle, and then when there's a stop and play, you drift toward the middle, and the middle is where it's where the best chances come from, in terms of like, you want to strike the ball at goal from somewhere in the middle part of the pitch. And it's really just that simple. Like at some level is like, get some bodies in there and then trust the players to improvise. Go ahead.
I was going to get Adam involved in this, because we were kind of talking about this on the either, I think, near the end of the game on Sunday, and I think on our ride back to Plymouth, on my way to get my car back for my drive home. I was talking about, I think, something else in this team we've seen is swagger. When you look at the, like, for example, multiple times, I don't think it was Sophie in both times on Sunday, but instances where we've had the ball, I equate it to like watching Pavel Datsyuk playing for the Red Wings, where you would have the ball and you do this quick move, and then you would see a defender on the ground, ankles like gone, just faked out. I think Sophie did it. I don't know if if it was Sulis or someone else. It might have been Kate Childers in that second half did that too. You have that. And then you're also able to like switch out your starting keeper near the end of the match when you're 2-3 and nothing's changing. I think, Adam, you equated it to the, I don't want to say the strut that you were seeing. I think you wanted to talk about. Why don't you fill
No, it was funny. I actually, because I was really like noticing like a difference in style when it comes to Danny Evans and Dave Dwayne and how they do things. And our friends BJ and Dean Padre were there, and I think I turned to BJ and I'm like, you could definitely tell that Danny's the yeller of the two. And he's like, oh yeah, definitely. And like, I looked over, and this is towards the end of the game. It was, Danny is walking up and down the sidelines, and she literally has a strut. She is strutting up and down the sidelines during the play during the play. And it wasn't like any like subtle strut or anything like that.
It's like it's a pro wrestler walk up. Like certain people in pro wrestling I'm not going to name names out of here, just been there. But Sean, you might know what I've talked. Like you've seen people that have that cocky, confident,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
carry
Well, that's
off.
Dan. I mean, Danny's like that. You know, like she's a baller.
Yeah.
It was. I thought it was funny though, because I did, throughout PASL and throughout this season, I was just noticing the different approaches and the different styles of really all of our head coaches. When it came to, because I wasn't here. I wasn't here. I wasn't in the Detroit City FC scene when Ben was coaching. So Trevor was my first foray into, into everything and watching everything. And, Trevor has a style to him, and Danny Dicchio has a style to him, and Dave has a style to him. And Danny, she certainly does have a style to her. And it's kind of like that. It seems like it's kind of like that yin and yang type of thing. It's two complementary styles that have obviously worked really, really well to, with each other,
Right.
this season, given the results. But
Add in also Lisa Baran's doing the performance stuff with play, and then the gentleman that they credited in the video that's been doing film for them, Cesar, I think is Cesar. Just did it in the team video. Let me figure it in. I think
Garret Mackey tweeted like this dude finally getting his flowers or whatever the hell.
Yeah, and it's like those people in the back end are doing, or even maybe doing the quieter like things that were allowing us to see the work in here. But I think also when you see it at the end, like Dave's like the quiet guy ready to do an interview at any given moment. Like he knows what to say, when to say it, everything like that. And then you got Danny Evans, who is just basically like, my favorite thing ever is Fatima Nasser. After the first time we beat Waz in PSL, we only scored one goal in the first period. She goes and she's like, yeah, Danny looked at us and said, are you ladies having fun? It doesn't look like you're having fun. They scored 6 in the next period. That's that driven mindset, I think. And this team is so disrespectful at times. I love it because of that swagger that they have.
It's funny because they do I do believe that the differing personalities of the managers are in play there. And Danny, like, I've never seen her march up and down, do her generalissimo thing, but I now I'm gonna look for it. But it doesn't surprise me, and like I think there may be something kind of magical in the interplay between Dave's people. I tell people
the guy that does the video.
Amazing guy. But it's difficult to put I'm going to try to describe Dave Dway. Okay, he's like if like you had a really gentle house cat that was just like pleased constantly and pleasurable to be around, and just sort of cool and kind, and you turn that into a person who like loves football and then had that it had that personality, like the sort of general like sumptuousness and kind of cool like acceptance of a cat vibe, like become a personality, a human personality. Like he is infinitely accepting and calm and cool, but not at all remote like you might imagine someone who's like that would be. He's funny, vivid, and he's just really great. And I just smacked the mic with my hand. He has authority within the football space because he can really play, and he knows how to kind of speak to the ego of a player, and get that ego not to be at the center of the thing, right? He'll like get you to detach yourself from your ego without you even realizing it.
Right.
Like, because he's detached from his ego, and you're like, that seems good. I would like to be that. And then Danny is very much more an American model coach who's there to provide that sort of focus and intensity. Like, God damn it, do it. Fucking do it. But also in kind of an accepted, like, I know you can do it, so go do it. You know what I mean? She's got that like woo thing that, like, honestly is a lot closer to how I was when I was coaching. Like, I admire what Dave does, but don't understand how to replicate it really. So I don't, what happens going forward with City in the coaching area, I think will be interesting. I just hope that both those personalities stay involved, because the way they interlink is, I think, pretty special.
How do you see Riverlight? Detroit City's got the best defensive record going into the Central Conference of these 4 teams with 5 goals allowed. Minnesota Roar's second with 6. But the other 3 teams, in particular the Heartland Division teams, are heavy in the goal scoring. If you were to play out what you see, for example, Riverlights scored 49 and giving up 11, how do you see, like, obviously I think the home field advantage for Detroit City, I think, is going to be should be an advantage on tomorrow night. How do you see, despite us maybe not being as heavy in the goals as the other teams, how do you see our play maybe perhaps being an advantage against Riverlight tomorrow, and if we get past Riverlight, whoever we're going to get to play it on Sunday?
Okay. First of all, I think that Indy 11 is likely to put the lights out for Aurora. They are a group that's been together for a while, and they've lost some of their key players who have gone off to be pros, but they've been together for a while, and
Right.
They're assassins. I think they'll get there. For us, it's difficult to look at those division numbers and give them a whole lot of weight, because really, we don't have any cross competition. We don't have any cross tabs to figure out where these things link up.
Right.
And I have a suspicion that they scored a ton of goals against some really bad teams.
14 against RKC Third Coast did Aurora do on Saturday in RKC. They won the first one 7-0.
Right. So plus 21 against one club, and they're, the most we have is what, plus 6 against Michiana. And so
Ann Arbor
that's a massive difference. Just having like a couple shitbag clubs at the bottom of your division means your goal difference is going to be much more gaudy than it would be in a division like Great Lakes, where, who's the second worst team in the league? Cleveland, the team that beat Midwest.
Cleveland got hot at the end of the year. Cleveland beat Midwest this weekend too, so they've won 4 home games.
Right. Cleveland, like Ann Arbor, like who's bad in this division? Flint, like you're talking about a lot of good teams, and
Right.
we beat every single one of them, and most of them pretty badly.
Right.
Like the thing I think I need to emphasize, I guess, is that this is a round of 16, really. All right, we're talking about these playoffs. This is a round of 16. If we win this regional, there's 2 more matches, and we are the national champions. Okay. And there is every reason to believe that we are going to win this regional tournament. Indy 11, I think, is the second best team, and I think they are well off of what they were 2 years ago, last time we faced them, and we are a dramatically different beast than they have seen before. Beyond this, if I want to get completely over my skis and just go insane, there is a team in Florida which has gone 12-0-0, a team which has recruited a good portion of, I believe, the Jamaican national team to the younger portion of the Jamaican national team to play for them. So that's going to be a problem.
Is that Gulf Coast or whatever?
Yep. Yeah, Gulf Coast. They are. I mean, they absolutely lit that division on fire. Again, though, how good is the division? I don't know. But when you go when you don't even draw a match, when you're killing people and teams are like, what happens when you're absolutely destroying everyone in your division is by halfway through the season, everyone is setting up just to try to get the 0 against you. So to go ahead and force that through without a draw is pretty impressive. And it indicates to me that they probably have some really persuasive attacking talent that can just break you down. But we don't need to beat them in a league scenario. We need to beat them in over 90 minutes. And I think this group, if they can keep the women together, it's not unreasonable to think they could win a national title this year. Like Detroit City could be national champions this year.
I didn't know if you had any more questions on it, Adam, for the women before we shift to the men, but my thing is this, and I think it's a great line you just dropped in, Sean. 5th season of the women. I remember we talked back in 2019, I think, after Trevor James lost his first home game to Kalamazoo, and we were talking about this as a supporter base and a group that we if we don't demand it, we expect good results. Mm-hmm. And I think now that we're in the 5th season, we've seen the women deliver this as the best season that they've had so far. We're seeing
by such a wide margin, like it's not even close.
We're starting to see the numbers, and still not to the level that us sickos and maybe some others want attendance-wise, but we're seeing an uptick in attendance. I think the amount in the game 1 of the doubleheader versus Kalamazoo, when the men are playing Pumas, is kind of impressive. I wasn't expecting those numbers, and that might have been the best attended match for the women all year at Keyworth, if not the start of the Midwest one. So as we keep getting towards these massive, significant things, and now we're hosting a conference playoff tournament this weekend, which means that the league is taking note. As frustrated as we could be about our own stuff, the league's like, y'all are good. Here, have this. Right. Say this happens, City wins the conference tournament. Say even if we win national or not, would you, depending on how this weekend goes, what do you think of the chances are we may see announcements for the club for future women's plans as on the back heels of this success? I.e., you know what I'm asking, Super League,
right?
Or
I mean, I think it would be really cool. However, I don't think it is. I think that even if we win the Natty, win every match 3-4, 5-0, dance through the tournament, like create a new version of football that's like Detroit City's women did this. It's called Verlux or whatever the fuck. Even then, we are still a couple years away from looking at a Super League team. Just because this club is still in the process of digesting the elephant it swallowed a couple years ago, and even a slightly smaller elephant, I think, they're likely to balk at. And really, I don't know that we want to try to do Super League matches in Keyworth, given how I don't think we have that many dates with Keyworth available. And so to me, the Super League thing is going to wait until we have a stadium, right, in all likelihood. Hopefully, we start to, I could see this. I could see City announcing, plans for a Super League team in 2027 when the stadium opens. Like, I could see them kind of getting, like, announcing a long range plan in the aftermath of some great success, like the ones we discussed. Because there's plenty of wiggle room in those. You can make a big, kind of grand plan. Like, I mean, we've seen the grift a million times, right? You make a big announcement and then you go quiet, and all anyone remembers is that you made a big announcement.
Right.
So like, I can see us doing that. But the city has tended to be quite cautious in its public statements and its advancement of toward its goals over time. Consider that, they've been clearly working on the stadium for a decade, and like not much was out there, right? I have been inside of the city bubble, and it is a tight bubble. They still retain the capacity to surprise. This is what I'm saying.
Okay. If we're going to predict, get the both of you in here. Sean, you're feeling Indy over Aurora.
Yeah.
And how do you see the rest of the weekend going at Keyworth?
I think Indy beats Aurora. 2-0. I think we beat Riverlight 2-0. And then I think it's a fucking slobber knocker between Indy 11 and us, and it goes to extra time, and we win 1-0 on a Kayla Addison goal in the 117th minute.
Thank God it doesn't go to penalties. I can't take penalties.
Adam,
but honestly, if it goes to penalties, I'd be happy with that, because Gabby, she does not have any size, and but she has been so fucking good this year, really, really good. And I've seen her play a lot. Like, she's been a good deal better than I've seen her be before. She saw the team around her being great, and she kind of came up to that in a way that I think was really kind of inspiring, because she's not a kid, right? She's 31. So anyway, that was neither here nor there.
So you're saying we're lifting something on Sunday?
I think we win it. Yeah, I do. At home, the other thing is other teams got to travel. They've never traveled together, really, not like this. Never stayed in a hotel together. So that's new. It's going to be weird for them. We're at home, and our women are sleeping in their beds and showing up at the place where they practice once a week. So I do think we win it.
Adam, what about you, bud?
I hate making predictions at this point. I'm gonna go.
I feel like I was too positive. Now you bring it down.
I am unfortunate. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Actually, Sean, I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go Aurora beating Indy 3-1. I'm going to go City beats Riverlights 2-1. And unfortunately, I'm going to say Aurora beats City 2-1 in the final on Sunday. I hope I'm wrong.
I will say, if we're going to lose to one of these three teams, I would prefer it to be Minnesota Aurora, because I'm serious, they are a team built on the right things, doing the right things. Yes. That matters. And losing to them would suck, but it'd be like, okay, give them the bow, yes. You have earned it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna. What were you gonna say?
I did just one quick question, Sean. So we're not going to get a Super League announcement with Lily Jekyll as the first signing this weekend.
I mean, if it happens, I will be as happy as anyone can. That would be pretty awesome.
Sorry, Garrett, go ahead.
I'm gonna go kind of split with you guys. Aurora, I think third year's the charm for Aurora to get to the final. 3-2 over Indy, because I think like Indy's not gonna make it easy for them. There's a reason. Yeah, Indy just lost their last W League game of the season. There's not as many teams in the Valley Division as there are this Great Lakes and the Heartland, but they're an inaugural Super League team. They've played together. I've seen them toy with us in 22 when we were, at the end of the San Parani days.
We're bad.
Yeah. Indy's going to make it difficult, but I think Aurora wants to at least get to the final. I'll go 3-2 Aurora. City versus Riverlight. This is going to be a good battle of offense versus defense. I don't think we're going to sit back and play the ball on that. Riverlight have the goals in them, but you don't win. Riverlight's playing a team that's only allowed 5 goals in 12 matches, and they haven't allowed a goal. There's 3 consecutive games with a clean sheet, and they're on their home turf with their crowd. 2-0 City over Riverlight. And then we're going to City versus Aurora, which, to be honest with you, I feel like a lot of our circle is manifesting an Aurora City matchup. When you talk about
lighting the candles.
Yeah, because the reasons why you've stated Minnesota Aurora and what it's been looked like. If it's not City that's had the best attendance in W League, it's been Aurora. So and I'm sure, I don't want to know if this is the matchup USL people are manifesting also, but this is
Probably.
What's the tastiest course of a matchup in the final that you would want? To me, it's Aurora versus City at City. Detroit City, I think, will lift this trophy at weekend's end. 1-0. I don't know if it'll go to ET, but I think it'll be. So you're going Kayla for the score. I am going to go Kate Childers.
Oh,
She's stepped in this time with some goals this year. Because here's the thing, Sophie Romine is one of my Black Arrow candidates, but I haven't seen her score anything other than a banner outside the box top bins.
She did have 2 2 bangers, 3 bangers,
3 consecutive weekend bangers.
Right. That were 0.03 xG shots, and just that was insane. But it's that's those goals are a product of her, or like an organic product of her game. She's got like we talked. We compared her to Tobin Heath. The thing is, Tobin was never shot much, right? And so maybe she's a slight upgrade. Oh, what? I'm kidding. I know.
Fireworks.
I mean, but Sophia is really good, and plays with a drive that is persuasive.
But Kate Childers, to me, if this could come down to something of a ball in the box or something like that, that'd be your type. If Tatiana Mason's not playing in that, then I would give this may be a great Kate Childers moment on there. I mean, Kayla.
They're probably both playing. Honestly.
Yeah.
If Tatiana was with City, I think Kate would still start alongside her in the double pivot. And you're right. She's a hell of a target. She's both of the Childers women are a great size.
Yeah, Allison played in the back line on Sunday.
Yeah. Apparently that's the thing. Her college coach is decided all of a sudden I want her to be a center back, and Dave's I'm okay, sure. And she plays fairly well there, but she's not going to displace Acadia or Avery. So it's all right,
I think she played right back on Sunday.
She played some. Yeah, she played some right back. like came in, I think, for, was it Maya that started? I don't remember.
I was also going to say another key sub moment. How much of an impact can Hannah Crum make this weekend? Because I think whether she start or she comes on late, she's part of that PASL spark crew that I call it with Kayla. And Hannah, like Sophie, has the ability to just rip bangers from long distance.
Right.
One that she hit free kick off the crossbar from 30 yards out at Midwest, and that crossbar was probably crying after getting hit. That tells you.
So okay, I'd like to. I'm going to kind of take this as a moment to talk about the PASL players and what they provide to the team, which is two things. One is that they are almost universally okay. So I'm thinking about Megan Miles in defense and defensive midfield. I'm talking about Danny Steffen in defensive midfield.
Amanda Britton.
About Amanda Britton on the flanks or in midfield, in attacking midfield. I'm talking about Hannah Crum. And
Tatiana Mason this year too.
Addie, but Kayla Addison, but she's in her own galaxy there. Just a target forward, and if she was 23 instead of 33, we'd be basing the whole team around her. Right. So anyway, all of them are. They share certain attributes. One is a sort of acquaintance with the dark arts that you don't often see in the women's game. Hannah Crum especially is incredibly adept at coercing fouls out of people, which she can then convert with her wand of a left foot. The other thing is that they're all fairly stationary players. They're not the thing you see when you see our team take our first 11 take the field. A lot of times is that you've got women who can really run all over the field. Now, the PASL women are not that athletic, in general, but they're technically great. They understand the game. They play the game that is in front of them, and they're players who have had to kind of confront the fact that they aren't going to they're players who've had a lot of success at lower levels, say high school or whatever, who've had to confront the fact that they don't have sufficient physicality to dominate in that way.
Right.
And so that forces you as a player. You're an elite player, but you have to start to play without ego. And it's that lack of ego that has kind of unlocked so many of the good things in this team. So it's in a complicated way, there's this sort of feedback loop of limitation creating this greater understanding of the game, and then that greater understanding being shared among the players without that limitation, who then take, everybody grows. That's part of the secret sauce of this team. And was part of the secret sauce for those old Detroit City men's teams, the summer league teams. They always had, local guys, or guys who lived in the area. Okay, we're talking about Dave Edwardson, and
Steph Harris,
Bebby, right? Guys that kind of knew the game, and if you're looking at them if you were in Football Manager, right, you're looking at their skills, you're probably compared to the dudes who are coming in. But they bring something beyond just the physical to the table, and that's part of why soccer is amazing, right? Is that's an easily and a thing that you can see happens. So.
Hell yeah. So it's going to be a wild weekend. Tickets are still available. Tickets website SeatGeek. I think it's $10 for tickets. I think it gives you coverage for all the games. Adam has jokingly referenced on 2 recordings recently. Unfortunately, we're not completely well versed in the ticketing mindset, because I can't tell you when the last time I bought tickets.
Yeah, and don't say that. Everybody listen to this is fuck you, motherfuckers. Yes, it's true that if you write about the team, you get a pass, and you don't really know what's going on with tickets. It's true, but it can remain an unstated truth, I think, from this point forward.
Adam's description was the best. I just go because I just take videos of Garret. But yeah, we might. Yeah, so this might be like if we go silent for 3 minutes. If you did silence before that, that's maybe one on there. We'll talk real about the men. We don't have to go as fully in depth if we don't want to. So
I'm sorry I went so hard on the women.
No,
I did. I went too hard.
The women deserved it.
I delved too greedily and too deep.
The women deserve this. This is their their weekend.
Yeah, I hope I didn't summon the bell wrong. Is all I'm saying.
Hey, you were talking about things we probably shouldn't say last night. We did both Jaime and myself and I think suggested that if somebody should take a night off of this city weekend, Saturday we recommend Saturday because you should be there for the women, in our honest opinion. I mean, and this is coming from someone who's excited to see the Black Kits make their debut against the Rowdies. But we've seen this Detroit City side that responded from a collapse 3 days prior in style in the professional manner, in a rotated manner, and then we are welcoming a Tampa Bay Rowdies team that, while we have had 4 difficult matchups against them before, one win and 3 losses, 2 of them just being a 1-0, but then an actual 5-1 ass whooping the last time we played them at Allen. Is this the best time for a Detroit City men's side to welcome a Rowdies in Keyworth? Based off of what the Rowdies did, how the Rowdies lost in Loudoun, and Loudoun looking like they were the dominant side, and our form and uptick. How do you feel on that? Do you feel like this is the time to get something against them?
Did we lose Sean?
Sean? That might have been a question. That might have been a mic. It might be an attack, coughing tap, mic stuff.
I think we might have lost Sean.
Adam, give me your while we do an ETA check on Mr. Sean. How do you feel? Is this the best time to welcome the Rowdies in?
Like I said last night, I think that.
Hey!
He's back. Okay, good. I don't have to pretend like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the Rowdies. I'm just kidding. I was just gonna say it's a difficult. The Rowdies this year are a difficult side to look into, just because they've been so. Last night I said Jekyll and Hyde. I can say that again tonight. They've been a very up and down squad this year. Some weeks they beat Louisville, other weeks they lose to Loudoun on the road. So
losing Oakland too, who are now 3rd in the West out of nowhere.
Yeah. So is this? Do I think this is the typical Rowdy side that we've seen in the past? No. Okay. Do I think we can? Are they going to come in and just run over City? No. I think City has a very, very good chance to win Saturday night, and it's a big match too. I mean, we've got really, really big matches this week. Obviously, the women's side is more. There's more behind it. There's obviously it's playoffs for them, but as far as the men's side goes, this is a big match because the Rowdies are 2 points ahead of us in the East.
With 2 games, we have 2 games in hand on them,
and we have 2 games in hand. So yeah, I mean, big match for them. Definitely a beatable side as we've seen so far this season, and like I said last night too, I'm gonna be interested to see what Danny rolls out with this week too, just because we saw a lot of rotation last week against Miami, probably in some that was probably a lot based on, the turnaround from Wednesday and maybe the side that we're facing, in Miami. We go against a much better squad this week against Tampa Bay. So like I said, I expect to see some of our usual starting 11 out there. Sorry, Sean, go ahead.
Yeah,
well, I'm glad to be back. Hey, I think that we are going to get a read on who Danny thinks his best 11 is right now. When lineups are announced on Saturday, I'm guessing we probably go back to the 4-2-3-1 again. And it seems likely that we're going to go back to the kind of the opening day lineup of except with
Reese instead of
move to the left and Reese on the right, and that'll be covering the loss of Alley, and honestly I expect to beat Tampa Bay. They have been up and down. We've been up and down, but more up when up and less down when down than the Rowdies this year. And we are playing at home. In the reverse fixture, if it was the reverse fixture, I don't know that I would be as sanguine as I am right now. But this is a pretty good Detroit City side, and when everyone's healthy, there aren't many teams that I feel a lack of confidence contemplating. Now, sometimes when the match starts, it'll be like, I overlooked this, and then I'll really get my worry on. But the city team is pretty balanced, and the roster is pretty balanced, and they seem like they're just actually fairly good and going to be a playoff team. It's not requiring everybody to scrunch up their face and screw your courage to the sticking point every fucking match. We can just go out and play football, and we're pretty good at that. Which is nice.
I think something to take note of. Chatting with Carlos and the RBL Rowdies crew. Thanks again for the hospitality on Tuesday. They had Arteaga on their whole episode. They had Manuel Arteaga on, and it seems like they were talking about Max. They're already worried about Maxi and and those guys and a couple others. But I want to talk about the difference of what makes the City team as opposed to the Rowdies team. City have 23 goals in the USL Championship League play this year, and when you look at the breakout of scorers, Maxi's got 7, but then you have Ben with 2, Elvis with 2, Reese with 2, Elvis and Reese missing time, Victor Becerra getting 2, not in the squad for the first month because he wasn't a City player, Lai Jolp with 2, and then Coot, Rutz, Sheldon, Brian, and Carroll. Tampa Bay Rowdies have 28 goals in league play, but this is where it becomes not as spread out. Manuel Arteaga's got 10, Cal Jennings has 9. And then you got Riviera and Lasso at 2, Blake Beaudelet, Charlie Dennis, and Jordan Doherty. Point being, it seems like Tampa, while they have great hitters, Charlie Dennis has torched us before with the Roots and the Rowdies. Cal Jennings is a young player who I really wanted us to get after he didn't come back from Vegas, but instead he joined Tampa. Manuel Arteaga, we already know because of his physicality, which unfortunately Devin got hurt with when Arteaga was with Indy in 22, and Arteaga last year torching us with the Rising.
We've had a problem with him.
But my thing is this. We might have a little bit more depth in goals right now. And of Arteaga's 10 goals, 4 of them have been from the penalty spot. So I agree with you, Sean. I could see us going in that 4. I could see us going either the 4-2-3-1 or I could see us going in that 4-4-2, whether it's an outright diamond with James at the base in front of the back 4 and you're letting Lai run a little bit more because I think Danny's wanted to let Lai really run free. or the 4-2-3-1. I don't want to do a 4-3-3 type thing that we did at Louisville just because I think Tampa can be explosive. But I don't want to also do a 4-5-1 and play defensive against this team because if we try to be too defensive, we have what we saw in the second half against Birmingham Legion. But I think this is a chance where I also say which team is going to avoid making the mental lapse longest.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say about this, is that it's likely to come down to like a lot of, kind of the higher level matches come down to who makes mistakes, who switches off at the wrong time. For me, the fact that Forrest Lasso is hurt is a big plus for us. Because he is the one kind of X factor on a corner. He's a 6'5", kind of aerial dominator player.
Defender of the year a few years ago before moving to Sweden.
Right, moved to Sweden, came back. He's the kind of guy that if you hang up the right cross, he can go get it, and there's nobody on our side who could do anything about it, right? And given our past in this season with set pieces, that worries me. But he's hurt, so we're not gonna have to worry about him. This Tampa Bay is tough to get it really like Adam was saying, they're so up and down. It's difficult to get a feel for them because you'll watch 3 matches and you'll see them play like lights out possession football that like creates chance after chance, and against a team that's trying to defend, because after the first 5 minutes they're like, holy shit, what is going on with these guys, right? And then the next match they're aligned the same way, and the other team is lined up to defend because they saw what happened in the last match, and they're like, suddenly they've got hooves for feet. Like, it's just nobody can.
Think even better, same game, 4-0 up against Birmingham Legion in the Open Cup in the 80-something minutes, and then you give up 4 goals in 10.
They did, they did. I mean, I know they've had their manager poached, and then I think they had some changeovers, and I don't remember exactly because I haven't researched them at all. I've been just doing the women.
Gonzatti went to Indy in the off season.
No, I'm talking about managers.
Oh, you're talking manager stuff.
I can't remember. They had a like.
Neil Collins went to Barnsley.
Right.
I remember that. Who's running their side right now?
But it's beginning. What I'm saying is, it's beginning to feel like the brain drain is showing. Like they haven't been able to keep up with the changes. They're kind of sticking with the formula that sort of works when everyone's vibes like mash, but
Robbie Nielsen
this meshing sufficiently.
November.
Yeah. So, that's if I was talking to a Tampa Bay supporter right now, I'd be like, I don't know if your manager's got it. Like, that would be to me, because they're like, their payroll, their talent is always, top 5 in the league. So like for them not to be pretty consistently dominant is like they're kind of blowing it. Right. And our payroll is in the middle, like we've climbed all the way up to the middle now. So we're slightly overperforming our spend, if you want to think of it that way.
Nicky Law managed them as like a player manager for a little bit. Then I think he took a gig, and now I think he's on Robbie Nielsen's coaching squad right now. So I agree with you. Yeah, there's fluctuation.
I don't know. I mean, like I'm saying, I am viewing this from like 30,000 feet and just kind of going like, okay, well, I'm going to drop in here and see what the actual play looks like, because these results seem crazy. And then the actual play itself seems crazy too. Like, whoa, okay. Like, it's not just like fluky. It's your play is going up and down.
Right.
And yeah, that's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to say about them. Like, I hope we don't get the best of them, I guess. Fingers crossed. But that's, yeah.
This is the middle of a busy 5-game stretch. I'm looking at the next 5 for both teams. So Rowdies has us on the road Saturday, Orange County at home on the 13th, Indy away on the 20th, Charleston at home on July 27th, at Monterey Bay on August 3rd. City's next 5 are Rowdies at home, Memphis 901 at home next Saturday, North Carolina on the road Friday, July 19th, Sacramento at home July 27th, Hartford away on July 31st before welcoming Rhode Island to Keyworth for a national televised on August 3rd. So both with amount of really important matches. City's starting to kind of catch up on the matches that they have in hand on some teams. And to win by City over Tampa on Saturday jumps them in the table, and they still have some games in hand. Right. So why don't we try to take a guess and see what we're thinking Saturday is going to be? Black Kit debut, 7 p.m. Eastern, Saturday night. The weather's supposed to cool down a bit. I'm already looking forward to that. Adam, start us off with the predictions.
I'm gonna go 1-0 City. They have to win with those black kits, because if they lose with those black kits, then you can never wear them again.
Especially with the amount of crusade Adam has been against last year's white and mint verdigris kits.
If they lose tomorrow night, then that is a sure tell sign that it is all the verdigris.
Saturday.
So
Saturday, exactly. Verdigris out forever.
Yep, forever. So, but I'm gonna go 1-0 City. 1-0 City, and your best friends from Tampa Bay, Garrett, are right in their worry. Maxey gets the goal.
Yeah. Sean Spence, how you feeling, brother?
I agree that City's going to win. I think it's going to be more like 3-1.
Oh, damn!
And I think that
I like it.
You go with hard in the paint.
Yeah, I think I think Elvis gets a goal. I think Ben Morris, City Legend, gets a goal, and then like wild card, like pick 'em. So maybe Maxey.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
Does Nate start Saturday, do you think, then?
Or Carlos?
I mean, by the previous standard, Nate put up a clean sheet, and so I think he starts. Yeah.
But I hope he does, because then he would be showing up Jordan Farr, who I'm assuming is going to start for Tampa Bay. So I'd love to see Nate outshine that jerk off Jordan Farr. I don't know if he's a jerk off or not. I just always know that's always been the thing. It seems like it's always Nate's awesome, Nate's the best, and then it's like, well, what about Jordan Farr? And
yeah,
Jordan
Farr
he's
good, but he's no Jordan Farr.
To be fair, that was coming from the San Antonio people probably, and now look where they're at this year.
Yeah, screw up.
Now I'm going 451. Like, okay. I agree with that. 3 point. I feel like 3 points to Les Rouges, or dare I say, whatever. What's French for black? I know Schwartz is black in German. 2-0. 2-0 because
it's noir.
It's what?
Noir.
There we go.
Film noir. Yeah.
Oh, god damn it! Can't believe I should know that. But yeah, it's a
noir.
Wear your black. Tampa's going to feel black after that loss, because it's going to be darkness. Darkness in the form 2 City goals. It is. I think Maxey's feeling good. He's going to bag one. I'm going to go Reese to make it 3 games in a row with a goal.
Reese. Let me just say that would be really statistically amazing if Reese went 93 matches in his pro career without scoring a goal, and then scored 3 matches in a row. That would just be that's one of those things that you read about in baseball. He went 0 for 48 before hitting 7 home runs in one game. Okay.
Yeah.
1922.
Like the 32-year-old 4AA player who finally makes it up to the majors and hits a home run in his first at bat.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What just happened?
I'm just playing the theme from The Natural. So
Okay. Wow. I guarantee I would not recognize that theme if you played it for me 100 times in a row. I've seen the movie, like when I was a kid, I think.
yeah. But no, I mean, if Ben Moore scores a goal, that's great. Just because I have a good bet with our 451 Hermano Javi Ventura, aka the double or nothing Del Taco bet. So
I feel like Ben has been good this year, and
4 assists.
you know, if he hadn't been brought in and like hyped up as a dude who's going to score like 18 goals a season, like everybody would be totally happy with what we were getting from him at this point.
Agreed.
But you know, because he like was supposed to be this like, you know, goleador, now we're all disappointed that he's like a workman-like inside forward.
Yeah. 2 goals and 4 assists from him this year. His with Reese in his last 2 games. So, you know, I think he's found this spot he's really, really, really comfortable in. And I agree with you in the fact that
he's effective. He's effective. He does a lot of work defensively. Like he's like a super version of Connor, right? Like, you know, like all the work rate, all the like, but also can do shit when the ball's at his feet. Like he's not like frozen, you know.
Yeah.
So
I do wonder, if I will wonder. I will shake my head. I am thinking of a potential dark horse Dikio move on Saturday that we might not be thinking. And
I want to hear it now.
There's a little part of me that thinks he might put Ryan Williams in the midfield.
I mean, I wouldn't hate that. You know, Ryan,
because he's got that grit like James.
He's got a lot of grit, and he also like can really shape a ball. Like he can make a chance out of a kind of a nothing moment where like they just sort of leave him alone in the midfield, and he's like he'll you know suddenly see something he thinks he can do. And with Elvis at the end of that, like I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't hate that.
Seems like Ryan and Matt Sheldon have been two of maybe the bigger surprises this year.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was less surprised by Matt. Like I kind of, we had a USL profile on him. I knew he was.
Yeah.
I knew he was. I thought of him as like a grinder.
I never realized him to be that fast.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't realize he had that pace. Like, I don't know. Did they just not let him get forward? Was he like told never come forward before or something? Like, I know I've seen his videos where he got him start in central midfield, but like, yeah, I didn't know that about him. And Ryan, like, it almost felt like he was signed as almost a lark, like, he's kind of at the end of his career. He's played a bunch of places, like, scores 3 kicks.
It was like when we signed Vincenzo Candela last year. That's what we thought that move was.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we'll see, but like, and this is, now we are seeing, like, he's, he wasn't content to be Vincenzo. He had more sauce in that, and he's been important to us at various times. So, like, yeah, I'm. The other thing is I get a sense from him that he loves being in Detroit. Like, he looks like he's just sort of like, this is fucking great all the time, which is a nice vibe to get from a player.
Yeah. Especially one making a trip from abroad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's because it doesn't always go like that, like how it went with Allie. Allie,
I mean, honestly, I think if the personal things at home hadn't happened, Allie might be settling in and becoming a legend. Like, it's just, sometimes that works that way.
Yeah. And
I love that we were nimble enough to come off of a player that we were counting on pretty heavily really quickly once he said, like, this is making me sad. Like, I think a lot of clubs would have been like, look, motherfucker, you signed a 2-year deal. So you still got 20 months. Like, stop crying.
Yeah.
And, I'm glad that we did not.
Yeah. We did have a player come in since the last time we did a City Make Spence, and that was somebody that on the day of him coming in, he came in picked him up on loan from Orlando City, arrived at DTW at around 4 p.m.
We haven't talked about Abdi.
Yeah, 4 p.m. in the afternoon of Saturday, June 22nd. Goes ahead, meets Danny Dicchio, meets the team, gets a kit, winds up starting in that friendly that evening against Pumas of Liga MX at Keyworth before people are like, wait, who is this? Before we get an official announcement about him. And he scores the goal in the friendly. And then Monday we learn that Abdi Salim.
City goal by a trialist won.
The worst kept secret, which was not the club's worst kept secret. It's in their top 5 of worst kept secrets. It's not their worst kept secret. Abdi Salim, center back on loan for the rest of the season from Kenyan-born Somalian, 23 years old, with Detroit City for the rest of the year. Someone we've been seeing come in late in games. The last 2 league games started the friendly against Liga MX side Pumas. Sean Spence, how are you feeling about Mr. Salim?
I'm incredibly excited about Abdi Salim. I was worried about how Stevie was going to handle the second half of the season because he's been playing a lot of minutes in a position that is slightly more demanding than the one he played last year. Playing in the middle of a 3 is a little more quarterbacky. You've got a little more of a bib on than as the right half of a 2, right?
Yeah.
So, and he's like Stevie's been great, but we were going to need somebody who could play center from defense, and I didn't want to pull Michael off of that. Like, it was going to create lots of stress within the side to start resting the center backs if we didn't have Abdi. And he really looks great. Like, you don't get a lot to judge a center back on. It's kind of like judging a goalkeeper. Excuse me. It's kind of like judging a goalkeeper in that, if the team's playing well, you don't see them do much, but he moves well, seems to receive the ball and pass well, has a professional's body, like he's quick and thick, scored that goal against Pumas, so he knows how to get after the ball. I'm really interested to see what more he has, because I feel like this is a player maybe we could strip off of them long term if he can get integrated. We could say, hey, he's home here now, and he clearly wasn't in your plans really. And I am a person who believes a little bit in the idea that when you find people who are succeeding despite having gone through very difficult things, that the chance that they're special is likely to be a little bit greater. And this is a man whose life began as a refugee, and who has grown up in camps at various times and had to overcome things that most Americans, I think, would have a difficult time conceiving of,
right,
over the course of his childhood at very, in certain times. So, I mean, there's an expectation in some ways that you're unlikely to get a player that is callow or that is purely self-interested, or destructive of the team spirit when they've had to go through intense suffering. So, I hope that we stay the course with Abdi, and that we make him feel comfortable and at home, and that he turns out to be what we need, which is a quality third center back, who can, like Stevie, can take a day off, Devin can take a day off, and we don't feel like we're trembling on the edge of plunging into the abyss,
Right. I thought it was really cool that Devin was the one that Abdi came on for at the end of the Miami game, just because I felt like we were seeing that bad habit again on Wednesday of when Brent Levi's and Villanueva went down. Levi's has been more the long-term issue after that of Devin having to bomb forward, and it seems like every time Devin bombs forward, then we get burned because of the space. So the fact that we can take him off, put Abdi in, and not break a sweat I don't care that we're playing Miami for that. You're playing any team with that. That's cool and positive. So I'm really curious to see like where he gets his starts at, because I think you don't bring a guy like that in if you're not going to like, hey, Steven, you get a game off here. Devin, you get a game off here.
It's difficult to know. Like I don't have any insight. I know Orlando are doing okay, but not great. And so like to really judge how they're thinking about this loan, I'd have to know what their situation is in their development structure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're likely to be looking at this as like a way to see him in a different environment, or if they're just like, somebody take this dude, like, you know, and either one of those is possible.
Right. I thought, I don't know.
Like loans, the other thing is loans can be anything. Like it's all just an agreement. It's just a contract. So it could be that we're paying every bit of like, you know, like let's say Orlando's done with Abdi and they want to get rid of him. In that case, we'd be loaning him and paying his contract basically. On the other hand, if they just want to get him appearances at a slightly different, like they need to see him at a higher level to know if they really want to like re-up on him and make him a part of their plans for next year in MLS, then in that case, we're probably not paying a whole lot. Like they're just like, look, what we want is we want to see him get, you know, 40% of the minutes from here on out. And, you know, it'll be up to Danny and his crew to figure out how to get him in there. But in that situation, we don't have any inroad into acquiring him, you know, and we have to accept that he's just a part for this year. So like that makes so much difference in evaluating this deal that I don't feel confident in giving a single answer. You like, you know, on one hand, on the other hand, you know, I need a one-handed economist. Like this is one of those situations.
Right. And I'm just glad that we at least realized that we can fill this role. This was the first role we filled with whatever we got in the out to Shelburne, just because we realized as the first 3 months of the season progressed, Matt's retirement has it's becoming, the need for it to get filled has been increasing more and more and more. Right. So the fact that we're able to do it now at this point is a good sign. It's some form of fear quelling for now.
Right.
Let's just see how he does with it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I would be surprised if he displaces anybody who's like, I don't see him moving into a starting position routinely unless we've got an inroad to signing him going forward, because right. That, like, you're not going to destroy Stevie's like sense of self, like for a dude who's going back to play for Orlando City next year. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that, like, yeah, like that is the kind of thing, the kind of succession plan that occupies like a lot of Trevor's time. So, you know, I probably ought to get a hold of Trevor.
Get those chants, get a couple pints in, be like, hey, how's it going? You doing good?
It doesn't work like that.
I know. Man can dream, damn it. Why don't we do, I think with this one, we're near the end of it, so why don't we do, since recording on a holiday, I'm going to bring something over that we usually do in 451 Tunnel Talk and just offer the room of any closing thoughts from either one of you. So, Sean, do you want to take the lead?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna share with you how I'm coping with all the stuff that's not Detroit City football right now. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm out.
Wait, you were drinking like milk out of a straw, right? Right, Sean?
You sweet baby Adam.
That's what that was.
I love
right?
making the gurgling sound with the milk. It's so fun.
I felt like I just listened to a Snoop Doggy Dogg album from that intro from Gin and Juice 1993. Yeah. Adam.
I'm just gonna say that I just want to thank everyone who was able to donate and make a pledge for Pride Raiser. I want to say this is going to be one of our biggest years yet with that. Check presentation is going to be on July 13th against Memphis 501. Yep. So, it was a good year for Pride Raiser, and I can't wait to share that total or have everybody share that total with everybody else. So it's going to be fun.
Following up, well done to everybody. Take part in the pledging for Northern Guard Supports Pride Raiser, Ruth Ellis Center.
Oh yeah, one other thing too.
Yeah.
Tie-dyeing was awesome.
Yep.
Thank you to Tiffany, Daniel Espolita, Dave Dwayhe, who all came out as well from the club to tie-dye some shirts. It was really fun. So.
Well done to everybody taking part in their pledging for NGS Pride Raiser. Ruth Ellis Center does some fantastic work in the community of Metro Detroit not only for LGBTQ plus community and the youth, and just they do some great things. So for to be able to see the amount of pledging, the amount of money going towards them to be able to continue to specialize in the unique and great services that they do is a wonderful sight. So well done to everybody on that. Congratulations continue to all involved on the women's side for the season that's been had so far. A season that is definitely been the most memorable one so far, and I think it has the potential to continue to be. I really enjoyed kind of getting that reflection part from Dave Dwayhe in our post-match interview on Sunday, and the sky's the limit with everyone involved with that. All the best tomorrow. I tell people, I understand there's 3 days of football and all that stuff. It's a holiday weekend, but this is where we advocate. If you had to choose between the women and the men, I say go for the women. This is their moment. Go for it. Everybody can continue to there. So, and also I want to thank everybody out that's also been reaching out to any of us and for all of the different elements and things we've been doing, written, audio, video. So, and those that have been hitting the like, we truly appreciate it. It allows us to further take in these moments soccer sickos can have gathering together and everything like that. So that is kind of my closing thoughts in that. So to close, what's coming up? Women's tournament, Friday semifinals, Minnesota Roar, Indy 4 p.m., Detroit City Riverlights 7 p.m. The winners face each other on Sunday for the final at 1 p.m. And the men play Saturday night versus Tampa Bay at 7 p.m. Sean Spence, tell everybody where they can find your great works in your Patreon, such as the great piece you wrote out this morning.
My works, such as they are excuse me.
Previous. It was one too far of a previous action on this morning.
Hey, I'm coping too much over here. I'm smoking pure gopium. Anyway, you can find my work at patreon.com/wordsaboutshapes. I'm on social media at Shield Chafing, which is spelled SCYLDSCEAFING.
Milk gives him incredible dry mouth, cotton mouth.
So this milk is so dry.
Oh, God damn it. is fucking great. I love it. Adam, where can they all find all of this stuff? All this in personals.
You could find all the podcasts on pretty much any podcast platform you prefer. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Also get us on YouTube. YouTube.com/TheMajorsTV. Also check us out on our website, Detroit.themajorsports.com. Find us in all the social media outlets as well. TMSNX Detroit, Facebook, Threads, Twitter, and find me on Twitter at TMSNX Adam.
Twitter, Instagram, Discord, GM Comets. You can find me on those. 451 Detroit, YouTube at 451 Detroit, the number 3. I can't believe they fucking put it that way. Majors.net/channel 451, Adam, right?
Or 451.themajorsports.com.
So, including where it's the Mullen over City videos, or our live throw-ins, or the latest Tunnel Talk, which dropped yesterday. Shout out to our Jaime, Buckethead Jaime, channeling Hunter S. Thompson with the new look. And yeah, I think other than that, that is essentially it right now. We thank everybody for checking us out wherever, whether it's Majors or 451 or Sports About Shapes. Like, subscribe, follow, donate, all that stuff.
Donate.
So we hope
until it hurts people.
Yeah. What's that Bob Geldof line from Live? Just give us your fucking money. So Keyworth Stadium is about to have a lot of fun this weekend. We hope to see you and that you can take in these moments with us. Thank you all for checking this out. I hope everyone's listening to a safe 4th of July away from the boomsticks as much as possible. And yeah, up the fucking city, onward to the Rouge. Sean up in the northern metro, Adam in the west metro, Garret over here in the east metro. See ya.